Hello guys, Greg back with another video. So today I'm going to review a new men's release from the house of Dior, and this is called Jules for Men. Now this isn't a brand new fragrance, it's actually a re-release. The original version of this came out in 1980, but the fragrance disappeared for a while, and then it was kind of re-released with a new bottle, a new box. Then it disappeared again, and just recently it's resurfaced with yet another kind of rebrand, a new box and a new bottle. So I don't know how many versions of this there are, I don't really know how many reformulations this has had, but for the purposes of this video we're going to focus on this 2016 version. In terms of availability for this, at the moment, as I understand it, it's very hard to source. I had to get my bottles from France, and I believe it's only available in mainland Europe at the moment, so you're going to have to hunt around if you want to try and find this. I certainly don't think it's available in the US at the moment. If you want to buy samples or decants of this, I'll talk a bit about that later on, because you can purchase them from me, but I don't want to get involved in that yet. I want to do this review and then we'll talk about that after. So Jules was actually the second men's release from the house of Dior. It followed up to Eau Sauvage, and it took 14 years between Eau Sauvage and this one being released. And I guess it had a lot to live up to. Eau Sauvage was an instant classic, it still is a classic. Much like Eau Sauvage, this is a classic gentleman's smelling fragrance, but there's a lot of differences as well, and we'll talk about that as we get into the review. So before we talk about what the fragrance smells like, let's have a quick look at the presentation. I'm just going to show you. There's the box. Here's the bottle, which has a strong resemblance to the bottle that Dior's Higher Energy comes in, you may notice. So Jules Dior, information on the bottom, you've got your CD engraved on the cap. I'll show you the sprayer. Hopefully you see that, it does give out a lot of juice. So nothing spectacular, but reasonably nice presentation. So as always, I'm going to show you what the official notes of the fragrance are now. What I will say is what I actually get out of this fragrance differs quite a bit from the actual notes, so just bear that in mind as I'm talking through with my descriptions. But here are the notes for you. So Jules is classified as an aromatic green fragrance, but there's elements in here of both chypre and fougere fragrances, in my opinion. The literal translation of the word Jules is stud. It's supposed to be for a Lothario, you know, the fragrance for the ladies' man. He's virile and athletic and adventurous. And it is definitely a fragrance for a sort of bold, confident kind of guy. I'll tell you straight from the start, this is an 80s powerhouse type of fragrance. There's not many guys probably under the age of 35, certainly not under the age of 30, that are probably going to want to reach for this one too much. So it starts out for me very green. It reminds me actually when I was a kid and used to play hide and seek and sort of would run into the trees and the bushes and sit down and hide. And you get that smell of all the conifer bushes and all of the different types of leaves from the different trees. And that's the kind of green leafy smell that I get from this at the top. I think it's Artemisia that's used as a note to create that aroma. It's also very herbal at the top. The note listings for this just says herbs, but I'd say there's sage in here and maybe thyme also. And I also pick up lavender and bergamot in the top of this. Now neither of those notes are listed in the fragrance, so it could just be me, but I definitely think it has that classic lavender bergamot combo going on in the top of this fragrance. After you've had this on for about 10 minutes, you get some floral elements come into play. It still remains completely masculine, even though there's some florals. It doesn't list the floral notes, but I'm pretty confident it's rose and carnation at least that are in here. They're very distinctive notes. Even people that aren't frag heads could probably identify the smell of those two flowers. Definitely rose anyway. Middle stages of the fragrance is also pretty spicy. It's kind of like a dusty type of spice, if that makes any sense. If you know the smell of basil, or basil as you call it in the US, you'll pick that up in here for sure. Now, don't want to put anyone off for the fragrance, but there is definitely a kind of urinal, sweaty smell to this fragrance, similar to what you get in Kuros. It's not quite as urinous, if that's a word, as Kuros, but it's definitely there. There aren't actually any aromatic notes listed in this fragrance, but I would say maybe there's castoreum in here. I don't know, but it's definitely got that kind of smell to it at stages, but don't be put off. It doesn't spoil the fragrance. It's not a horrible fragrance in any way at all. The base of this one, it's full of leather, it's musk. You've got those animalic accords that I spoke about that's present and stronger. There's a hint of amber in the base, and that green leafy coniferous type of smell that I mentioned remains in there as well. It's just pure class refinement from start to finish, this fragrance. In terms of who'd wear this one, I picture a guy in his 40s up to 60s, maybe even older. A well-dressed guy, well-groomed, the kind of guy you stand next to him at a bar and you can smell cigars and whiskey and then this fragrance. Performance on this one is off the scale. Beast mode, fills the room, lasts all day and into the next day. Occasion-wise, see this has been an everyday type of fragrance for an older gentleman maybe, but for somebody in their 30s or 40s, more of a dressed up type of scent. Not necessarily suit and tie, but maybe jeans, blazer, that kind of thing. Great for both day and night, pretty much any time of year, except for really hot days it wouldn't work. It's a strong fragrance and it's not going to do too well for you in the really hot days. Comparison wise, now this one actually does have similarities to a lot of fragrances to me. I mentioned Curos earlier. It also reminds me of Chanel's Antaeus, the original Paco Rabanne Pour Homme, and also Lauder for men. The Estee Lauder fragrance has got similarities to that one. So if you like any of those fragrances, Jules is definitely in the same vein. Check this one out. I think you'll like it. So ratings wise, all elements of performance on this fragrance are a 10 out of 10. Longevity, sillage, protection, all 10 out of 10, no question. As for actual smell, if you like 80s powerhouse masculine scents, this is going to be at least a 9 out of 10. For me, it's a 9 out of 10 because I like those types of fragrances. If you don't like that type of scent, it's not going to score as highly for you. But for me, it's a 9. And the overall score for Jules is 9 out of 10. I never smelt the original of this, but I'm sure they've done a pretty damn good job of reforming this, because this smells like it was made in the 80s. It doesn't smell like it's been reformed or changed or compromised. It is a superb fragrance. Now, as I've mentioned in the last few videos of mine, I have recently set up my own online store where I sell samples and decants. Now, I do sell globally. If you're in the UK, you can use the website. If you're outside of the UK, use the website as a reference point, but you're going to have to email me for me to create the order for you. So the website is fragrancesamplesuk.com, and the email address is info@fragrancesamplesuk.com. So if you want to get your hands on some Jules, get in contact. I have plenty. I can send in multiples of 10 millilitres overseas. So if you wanted 30 mil even, I could send you 3 10 millilitres. The reason I do it that way is to avoid issues with customs. So if you're interested in Jules or any other fragrance, I have over 500 available now. Hit me up and we'll sort it out for you. So there you go. It's the end of another video, guys. Please give a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Leave a comment. If you're not subscribed to my channel, please do. And I'll be back very soon with more videos. Cheers.